Hello and welcome to the Marketing Mix. This week I've got a really special guest. All my guests are special, but really special guest because Leisa and I have known each other for a long time now, I think 3 or 4 years. And today we're going to talk about sales. And I know sales is a really big sticking point for small businesses, particularly if you are your sales team. It can be tough figuring out what to do. And Leisa is my go-to sales expert. I know I've asked her a couple of questions in my time, so that's why I've asked her to come here today. And she's going to talk to you about how you can be your own sales director. So before we get kicked off, I'm going to ask Leisa just to tell us a little bit about herself.
Okay, so hi everyone. As you can see, my name is Leisa Pickles. So my business is called Find Me the Leads, and we work specifically with food and drink producers, helping them get their products into more places and in front of more people, which means we do a lot of sales outreach, as I call it. But essentially what that is finding potential customers and nurturing relationships on behalf of our clients.
Amazing. And I know you've been doing that for a while, but I just want to say, before you did that, were you not something in like a buyer in Mars? Or
no, I worked, so the majority of my career, I don't like that word career, and almost as much as I don't like the word sales. Yes, I did work for Mars. So I have had the luxury of selling pet food, cooking sauces and confectionery in a number of sales roles, specifically supporting account teams within the grocery sector. So the last 2 accounts that I worked on were Morrisons and Co-op. But then after that, I went to work for a family-owned drinks business. And I had the title there of head of sales. Which essentially meant that I was the sales department. And I think that is the case for a lot of us small business owners, that we find ourselves as heads of multiple departments, whether we like it or not.
True. So is that where your love for food and drink businesses came from?
Yeah, I think, it's funny, isn't it? Us small business owners, we're helpers, aren't we? We are problem solvers, we are fixers, we are facilitators. So I've always worked in food and drink, and I feel really passionate about food and drink. I love it. I remember, when I worked at Mars, yes, I worked in the pet food team, and we used to have really high stats around, the percentage of the population. I mean, I know you and I both have dogs, so we're totally into the whole dog ownership thing. But imagine going to work in confectionery, so in a category that is accessible to everyone. And I think, I loved that. And actually, that was a real privilege to sell products which actually sold themselves. But that led me then to want to use that knowledge, skills and experience to help small business owners really unlock their potential. So to navigate the networks of organizations to get their products and services under the nose of the right people. Because when you're a big brand with a big, marketing budget behind you, people tend to pick up the phone, respond to emails, or listen to what you've got to say. But when you're a small unknown brand, you really have got to work very hard to get that connection, get that email response, or even get that person to answer the phone to you or respond to your voicemail. And I just thought, I want to be the person that flies the flag for these businesses. And, for me, it's about championing the underdog. Everyone loves a trier, don't they? So if I can help facilitate that, then I'm here for that 100%.
Fabulous. So let's get to the nitty gritty. We're going to talk about how to be your own sales director. But first of all, what is a sales director?
Okay, so I've printed off a quote because I wanted to get this right. So I love a dictionary definition, and actually I start a lot of my presentations with this because I think it sets the scene. So the dictionary definition is: the role of a director of sales is to manage all efforts by the company's entire sales team, strategically planning and launching new products or services whilst ensuring customer satisfaction. Now, the two bits that I want to pick out of that are the companies, or the business, as I would prefer to put it, and products or services. So my view of a sales director in the context of a small business, when you are your sales director, is that it's your responsibility as the business owner to show up and be visible wherever your potential customers or clients are hanging out. Now, this is where sales and marketing are so intrinsically linked, because marketing does a whole heap of stuff, you know me now, before the sales team even steps in. So there is a whole heap of work that goes on behind the scenes before, the sales team strikes. But obviously in this case, you are the sales team. So for me, the role of a sales director is to be the face of, the voice of your business and put yourself where your customers are. Now, that doesn't have to be physically, that can be through social media, through email, whatever that looks like. But it's your responsibility to A, know who your ideal customers are, and B, put yourself where they're most likely to hang out. Because being a sales director is about getting more eyes on your business.
That's a good definition. I think you're right. People often blame the lack of sales on marketing, but realistically it's marketing's job to find those people, and it's sales's job to convert those people, make them a customer. So and the two really are very closely linked, and you need to kind of know where to hand off from one to the other. But I like your definition of saying that you have to be visible, because we are asking ourselves to be visible in the terms of marketing, and that to me seems that like there's a little bit of an efficiency there, isn't it? If your business and you're doing both roles, actually perhaps you're killing two birds with one stone.
Definitely, because you think about it, so you need to define your products or services, because that gives you clarity around what it is you've got to talk about. And let's sort of use this as an example of where sales and marketing really come together. So you go to an event, you're talking about, a product that you want to sell, but you've got no collateral behind it. You've got no mention of it on your social media. You've got no outline of it as a product. You've got no pricing of it. And this is the whole point of what, marketing and sales. It's different, but it's the same, because they are working together to raise awareness in the first instance, i.e. the marketing department, to lead that customer through to actually make them a paying customer, which is, the part of the process that the sales team should be responsible for. So you could almost say that the sales team get the glory for all the hard work that the marketeers put in.
It used to feel like that when I used to work in bigger companies, and I had, a sales team, and it just we always used to celebrate the sale, but if it didn't go well, it was the marketing campaign that didn't work. So
100%,
like that.
100%.
But when you're working on your own, all of those successes, the sales success is yours because you've done the marketing right, and then you've gone and followed up. So in terms of a small business owner, why do you think they should be their own sales director?
Because they know the business better than anyone. And actually, let's be blunt. If you don't, who is going to be, so sorry, you've got to get out there and get yourself, your face, establish yourself as a credible business owner, and actually, make your business visible. I think, yes, you've got to do it because nobody else is going to. We are in a really lucky position as small business owners that we control what happens? We control the tone of voice. You know, I decide that I've chosen to wear, you know, a jumper with a star on. You know, how I present myself, that's my choice because it's aligned to my brand. And I think A, you know your business better than anyone. B, in a lot of cases, we are the face of our businesses. So for example, your business is called Marketing by Manal. So straight away, people expect you to be there. You know, if you went to an exhibition, for example, and all of your marketing collateral is Marketing by Manal, and Manal's not on the stand, it's like, where's Manal? I want to speak to the sales director. And just to sort of I'd like to sort of give you an example. So one of my clients is quite a newly created food brand, and it's a female founder, and she said that she was really struggling to sort of gain credibility. Like a lot of when she went to external events, she was perceived as a brand ambassador rather than the owner of the brand and actually the managing director of the business. And I said to her, well, the only way you're going to put that right is to put yourself out there as that person, because, you know, because she was a bit, oh, I don't really want to show my face, and, you know, I don't want it to be all about me and all the rest of it. And I said, I totally get that, but you need to sort of embed yourself as the voice of authority in this business, because then when you show up at events, everyone will say, oh, you own the brand, don't you? And you can say, yes, I do.
It is interesting, that point. I think as women, we sometimes find it difficult to push ourselves that way. And I know, like, for me, you mentioned an expo, and I actually was at my local expo, Hillingdon Business Expo. I had a stand. And as a one-person business, it's difficult to go through that whole day on your own. So my husband came and gave me a break at lunchtime so I could at least go and have a sit down and eat something. But as I was getting ready for that, because I changed my photos, I had new photos taken last year, and you know, I a mishmash of new and old stuff, and I decided I was going to get a new banner. And it just, if you came to my stand, it just like all the colours and stuff hung, but like for me as a woman, it felt a little bit because my face was just everywhere. But it's my brand.
Yeah,
people expect to see me. So
yeah, do you know, I'm totally over that now. I since being a small business owner, my confidence has really grown because I just think I've got to show up.
Yeah.
I've got to show up with intent and purpose, because I don't want to be the person in the room that nobody remembers. Okay, I want to be remembered for the right reasons. But, you know, when I go to a networking event and I know it's going to be quite formal, I make a point of wearing something bright because I want to stand out. And actually that helps elevate my confidence. You know, that helps me sort of already, I'm thinking I'm in the room.
Yeah.
And I think just little things that you just think, what is the point of paying money and wasting time to go somewhere to represent your business and not saying a word? You might as well not even be there.
Exactly.
That is what I think.
And you just reminded me, actually, I attended an expo last month at one of my favourite places, Twickenham Stadium. And I met a lady there. Her name is Louise, and I can't remember her surname, but she is a Paralympian. And as I was walking past her stand, she said to me, "Oh, that's a nice necklace." I went, "Thank you." And then we started talking.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it's there behind me somewhere. There's a book that I read years ago because I was so bad at networking and I just felt really self-conscious. It's a book called How to Talk to Anyone. And one of the things that she, I've forgotten the lady's name, that she recommends is that when you go to an event, is to wear, I'm going to call it a thingamy. So something that people can pick out, talk to, help spark a conversation. So, absolutely, when you go to an event, if you're feeling a bit self-conscious and worried about that, wear a thingamy or comment on someone else's thingamy.
Yeah, definitely. And I think this is, again, you know, comes back to how you show up. If you're not feeling it, you know, don't do it, would be my advice, because when you're part of a big organization, or when you're going to an event as part of a team that's part of it, it is very easy to just be silent and let the rest of your team do the work. When you're a one-man band, or even a small business, you need to maximize your impact. And I think potentially we'll go on to talk about this when we're talking about sort of the whole process. But I think I never turn up to a networking event without an objective. And the objective could just be, I just want to catch up with Joan because I haven't seen her for ages. So I'll give you an example. So I don't always have, like, you know, a lot of networking events I go to, it's not about generating business. It's about raising awareness, checking in with stakeholders, you know, finding new suppliers. But I go to my local business club every single month. I love it. And it's more of a checking in with the gang sort of thing. But this one particular time, my son was looking for a work placement, and I thought, I know, Newark Business Club. And then he sort of said, I've got a week to find a job placement. Oh, that's a bit short notice. Oh, they actually told us 2 months ago. So we left it really lastminute.com. But I just thought, do you know what? I can help facilitate this. So the style of the networking is, so I went with the objective, connect son with potential employers for work experience. And as the people stand up, hi, it's so-and-so from such and such solicitors, blah, blah. And I was writing notes, right, Joan, table 1, John, table 7. And in the break, I made a beeline for these people, and I managed to get him his work placement. Now, I probably shouldn't be saying that live because, you know, I want to demonstrate that he's very proactive and, you know, he sort of totally engineered his own work placement. But the reality is, I thought, you know what, I can help facilitate this. And this is what I do for my clients. And this is what I mean about showing up with intent and purpose. You know, you're not just there to have a chat with a few people and drink a cup of coffee. You're there for a reason, and be really clear in your head about what that reason is.
So, I mean, you just said you don't necessarily go to these events to get leads, but I mean, what do you do to generate inbound leads and manage them? Like, what's that process look like for you?
So social media is massive, and for me, LinkedIn is the biggest sort of platform in terms of generating interest. And I think it's not just about putting content out there, it's also about showing up and engaging with other people as well. So definitely social media, obviously music to your ears, you know, email marketing, networking, or any sort of face-to-face. And then I have something which I like to call my wild card, which is essentially put yourself where other people don't expect you to be. So I'll give you an example. I'm part of a network of sort of food and drink experts. That makes me chuckle. And we review products on behalf of producers. We got an invite to attend a wine tasting at Canada House in Trafalgar Square. And first of all, I thought, oh, gosh, you know, why am I going to this? And then I thought, well, you know, actually, this is a really good piece of content for social media because A, it's a great opportunity. B, you know, it makes people look at me and think, wow, she must be a person of influence and authority if she's getting invited to such a high profile event. So this is what I mean about wildcard. So it doesn't mean turning up to the opening of an envelope. It means if you get the opportunity to do something which feels a bit like, I'm not sure, however, I can see how that could work, go for it. Because you could be one of the only people in your field that is there, and that automatically gives you a thingamy to talk about. But it's absolutely 100% about pre-qualification. So turning a lead into a sale is about quality in equals quality out. So really do your homework, ask questions, pre-qualify that they have the budget to pay for what you do, that what you do is right for what they're looking for at that moment in time. And don't be afraid to say no. So I wish I had a magic wand, and I wish I could say to you, Manal, here you go. Here is a list of 5 places to go and get leads, which I guarantee you will convert into sales. It's not that easy. It's about consistently showing up, consistently repeating the same message. It's about following up. It's your responsibility to do that, not theirs. Pre-qualification is an absolute must. You have to do your homework to make sure that this person has a legitimate interest in what you do, because that's going to save you time and money. But also just, there was one other thing I was going to say. I've totally got out of my head about turning leads into sales. That was it. Add some timeliness to it. So when I quote, I always put 30 days validity period. And the reason I do that is because I want to then use that to follow up, because I want to be able to say, oh, just to make you aware that the quote was valid for 30 days, etc. And then the next communication is just to let you know the quote expires in however many days, just to really put a time element on it so that they understand that a decision needs to be made, whether that's yes or a no, because you need to allocate resource, book it in the diary, do whatever. So I'm a big fan of attaching a time limit, scale, whatever that looks like, to your communications or to your sales outreach, so that you get a decision within a timely manner.
Are you using a CRM to manage that?
So yes and no. So I do a lot of work outside of that before. So I only add the good stuff. I know that sounds awful.
No,
but I only add the good stuff.
I do.
CRM, because it's all time, isn't it? And so I think there is a process of filtering out. Yeah.
I only add people who've in my CRM. I only add people once they've asked me for a quote.
Yeah,
that's the time, because when they ask you for a quote, you think, right, that's serious.
Yeah.
And you can always go back and add conversations that you've had with them, but go and add that to their record. But once the quote's requested, that all gets recorded in the CRM.
Yeah, and that
backwards and forwardsing.
And that's when you step into the shoes of your own sales director, because that's when you're converting that quote into a sale. So it's in all of us. It's just the process of how we go about it. I think you don't have to be knocking on, well, I'm not going to say that because I completely contradict myself. Yes, you do have to knock on doors, but not physically, if you know what I mean.
Yeah. So I've heard you talk about product ladders.
Yeah.
Can you explain a little bit more about that and how you use them?
Yeah, so I've had a bit of an epiphany in my business of late. So I have a discovery call, so a 20-minute free discovery call, which is I have those with even people that are potential co-collaborators. It's how can I, let me understand your business. And through those discovery calls, I realised that I speak to a lot of not even food producers, but small business owners who just are a little bit stuck. They just want a solution to a problem now because it's stopping them moving forward. And I just thought, I haven't actually got that product. I haven't got that product which is available and is at sort of entry level price that I call it. So I created this sales surgery, I call it, which is an hour of structured fact finding resulting in a 3-point action plan. However, in doing that, I realized that it's really important. And I've been saying this for a while. I'm just not very good at like taking on my own advice. Is that if somebody is skirting around the surface, so, you know, these lurkers, that they're watching, they're hovering, they're waiting for a moment that they can engage with you. You need to present them with something that they can buy into. Mm-hmm. And it doesn't have to be free. It doesn't have to be low cost. It just has to be low risk, in my opinion. So it's a way for them to enter you as a category with relatively low risk and possibly relatively low investment. And I'm not saying that everyone should go out and reduce their prices. Absolutely not. But you just need to understand that it's a process of bringing people in and then moving them through. So if you think about, let's say, the wine menu. Mm-hmm. So typically the way that a lot of menus are structured is around a system that they call good, better, best. So good is entry level, better is mid, best is like the top dollar. If you're new to, let's say, for example, I've never had Merlot before, but my friend who I'm with, she quite likes Merlot. And I think, I don't know if I'll like it. So I don't want to spend like 30 quid on a bottle of Merlot. But there's one going for £15. Yeah. I think, okay, let's go for it because, you know, it's 15 quid. Worst case scenario, I don't like it. She'll drink the rest of it. Win-win. So it's having a way to get people into you as a category with a view that you then move them through the pricing tiers. Mm-hmm. And for a long time, my mid offer was my starting point. Yeah. And I recognized that I was missing a whole heap of businesses. Some of them, you know, I mean, I've worked now with HR professionals, other sales consultants who want me to help them with their like presentations and things like that. I would never have been able to work with them before had I not introduced this entry-level product. Okay. So I just think just make sure that you have something that you can direct all of your potential customers to. Yeah. So, for example, when I have a discovery call, after the discovery call, there's a link which is sent directly, which takes them to the sales surgery if they want to book on. So that's like the next level. But yeah, I think it's really important, especially at the moment when budgets and cash is tight for a lot of people. So actually, you know, get them in, demonstrate that you're good at what you do, and then move them through.
Okay. Yeah, we were talking a little bit about this backstage, weren't we? About various products that. So yeah, and the ones that I've got, which I, you know, physician heal thyself. I'm terrible at marketing.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely, it is a good idea to have something that's like you said, entry level. I love your analogy of the wine menu. I might do that at some point.
It's like I did this on the Lunch and Learn for Enterprise Nation, and I referenced my references are usually food and drink related. I talked about it was a particular story from my past, but it was about dark chocolate. So if you buy dark chocolate in Asda, you get Asda Essentials, you get Asda Brand, and then you get Asda Extra Special. Yeah. Asda Essentials is entry level into that category. They don't want you to always be shopping the essentials. They want to get you in and then move you through the pricing tiers. Yeah. So I think that, you know, as a small business, it's important to have a product portfolio which is accessible to as many businesses as possible.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's it sounds like that's where you and I are definitely heading in our own businesses. So let's talk about a little bit about converting a lead into a sale. What kind of tips can you give us for that?
So we've touched on it briefly around adding a time element. So pre-qualification is going to help you convert quicker and better because you've all. Sorry.
Can you just define pre-qualification? What are we doing there?
So when you get on a call with somebody who's inquired about your services, you already know that they can afford it, they are aligned to you in terms of, their business, your business. You know that you have a product to suit their needs. So you've whittled out the time wasters, and you on the call, you've got someone who is ready to buy. And actually, you need to use that call to sort of convince them to buy, basically. So then you'll come off the call, and whatever happens next, some people might go away and like prepare a lengthy proposal. I don't necessarily do that anymore, because I don't, if you've done your job right, I don't think that that's necessarily needed. But the point is that once that quote or that proposal lands with them, you need to take ownership of getting that to the end point. So you need to add in your 30-day validity period and use that to drive your follow-ups. You need to continue to follow it up. You need to make sure that you get a decision. But more than anything, if you get ghosted,
yes.
If you get ghosted, you need to be okay with that. And actually, I did, the Madagascar film, the penguins, is like, smile and wave, boys, smile and wave. And I know it sounds really flippant, but you've just got to do it. You've just got to process it that way, because otherwise you get yourself into all sorts of like knots, thinking, what did I do wrong? Was the price not right? Did I not ask the right questions? This and this. So I think you control what you can control, which is the follow-up process. If you've run out of reasons to follow up, i.e. they've gone past the validity period, they've ignored every single email that you sent them, they haven't responded to any messages, assume they're not going to buy from you and move on.
Yeah, I think it's you need to put your energies where the customers, the customers that are coming in, not the ones that have they've shown that interest but then have gone completely quiet. And I had that instance. I was introduced actually to a company by a friend, and we had a couple of calls backwards and forwards, and they were talking about booking more meetings and how I could help them, and I kept following up, and eventually it just went quiet. And I was like, at this point, I should focus on the leads that are talking to me rather than trying to, so you have to realize at what point you're expending your energy in the wrong place.
Yeah. And I think it affects you up there as well, because I think you start to doubt yourself, and all those like elements of imposter syndrome really creep in, and you think it's your fault, like you haven't done something. And I've had a couple of instances really, and I kick myself now because I probably should have recognized it for what it was at the time. I think people have just been at the minute, there seems to be an air of, well, two things happening. One is people are trying to validate their own prices. So they're putting the feelers out. What can I get for this budget? Second is I've had a number of consultants want to collaborate with me and then just basically ghosting me. So we've had the call, I've sent them, this is how I work, this is how, how my pricing structure is, nothing. And this is why I said about the whole, big on proposal. I have to be 99% sure that customer is going to convert for me to spend time in proposing.
Yeah.
If I think they're not, then I will just send them an email summary, which is, these are the core, this is the outline of the core service we provide. Packages start at, if you choose to come with us, we would be ready to support from, I just make it very factual. Because I just, there's a little bit of an air of, just shopping around a bit at the minute.
Yeah.
And I don't really like that. I don't think that's okay.
No, and I have to admit that since working for myself, I've really stopped ghosting people.
Yeah.
But not like big businesses. just, but if I'm working with, if I ask a small business to quote me for something, if it's something that I can't move on with, I go back and tell them, because I know what it's like being on the receiving end.
And I bet you're really honest, aren't you? I bet you're really honest and say, I can't because. And I think that is a bit like, reap and you should, you know what I mean? It's because you just think, I know what it feels like to be on the receiving end. And actually, as small business owners, we have got each other's back. So I think, honesty is the best policy. And, I'm okay with a no. If you don't want to work with me, if you don't like me, if what we do doesn't float your boat, if we're too cheap, if we're too expensive, just tell me. I'd rather you just told me than you just don't reply,
Yeah, for sure.
We're all grown-ups, aren't we?
Exactly. Well, listen, this has been a great chat. I have put a link to Lisa's newsletter in the comments. Do sign up for that. I'm on the list, and there are great sales tips to be had in that. So if you want to carry on the conversation with Lisa, sign up to her email list. I've also put a link to my newsletter in there, the Marketing Morsel Club. You get a newsletter from me every week on a Tuesday, and a whole host of other goodies. I've got a webinar coming up in next week, in fact. And I'm going to be talking about AI and marketing, but that's only available to the people who are on my list. So if you want to attend that webinar, join the list today. In 2 weeks' time, I'm going to be talking to Alex Hughes, and we're going to talk about sustainability and the marketing mix and how you can make your marketing more sustainable. So join us in 2 weeks' time. Thank you so much for today, Lisa. There's been some really great tips, and I hope that's helped people really take on board how they can improve their sales and be their own sales director.
Yeah.
I will see you in 2 weeks' time, people.
Take care. Thanks for now. Bye.